Welcome to Torah Today Ministries and our series Be Our Guest. And for this episode, we have two very special guests. We have Daimer Castro and Rebekah Sanchez. And even though they have last names, they are married to each other. And in Puerto Rico, it's traditional that each person keeps their own last name. So I just wanted to avoid any confusion. And we are recording this in Puerto Rico, in Las Marias, on a farm called Plenitude, which I'm going to invite Daimer and Rebekah to describe in just a moment. But first of all, I just want to say welcome to both of you. Thank you for sitting down and sharing your lives with us a little bit. And so let's start with this. We're here because we all follow Torah. We're all believers, and we know that Torah is God's word for our lives, how to live life. So won't you share with us, either one of you can begin, about how you came to discover Torah?
Okay.
And as a typical married couple, they're looking at each other. You start.
Thank you for having us. This is kind of surreal because we hear every week the welcome everybody to Torah Today Ministries, and we're like right here. So it's really cool to be here and have this time with you guys. Okay, so how did we come to Torah?
Yes, I think you were first, weren't you, Rebekah?
Yeah, I was raised in an evangelical community, an evangelical church, and they started learning a little bit about Hebrew roots, and they ended up going to Israel before I was born. Mm-hmm. So once they came back, they were completely revolutionized, and they started studying Torah and the festivals. And so I grew up in a transition point in my community where it was more like Protestant, and it became more like a Messianic community. Yes. But with no titles really, but we were just studying a lot of the Hebrew roots. So I grew up for like, I guess when I was a teenager, we started studying the tabernacle in detail. And then we started going into the portions every year, and we've gone through for like almost 10 years of doing the Torah portion cycle. So that's how I got to Torah.
And I have to interject something here. I got to speak at your congregation this last Sabbath and meeting Pastor Felix, the leader. And it's an amazing story about how he was leading a church. And the church just transitioned from Sunday to Sabbath and studying the Torah and keeping the Moedim, and it's an incredible story.
It is.
And I hope to get Pastor Felix on a future episode of Be Our Guest.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would also like to say that this is very uncommon here in Puerto Rico. There's not many congregations studying Torah this way. It's mostly a Catholic and evangelical population. So, yeah.
Well, Daimer.
Yes.
Tell us your story.
Well, I got introduced to Torah to Rebekah. We were farming together and just having conversations. And I was raised in a Christian home, and my parents are pastors of a church. And I always been drawn to learn about Jesus and to really follow Jesus. That's like what they taught me, and that's what I aspire in life to seek. And then reading a lot of New Testament and then in our conversations, one thing that really caught my attention was that we kind of like complemented each other. When Rebekah will talk to me about Old Testament or Torah, and then how that was a reflection of the stories in the New Testament, it was exciting. Like, we had so many conversations.
Now that you mention this, I had questions and like confusion a little bit with Jesus, with Yeshua.
Yes.
But it was very cool because he would bring that perspective and I would bring the Torah perspective. And suddenly it felt like, whoa, this is tying together perfectly.
That's wonderful. That's great. Now, Daimer, you're not Puerto Rican by birth. You're from where?
I'm originally from Colombia,
Yes.
but I've been living in Puerto Rico since 2008. So half of my life I've been here now in Puerto Rico. So people don't really notice anymore that I'm from Colombia. I have to like tell them. So yeah, I've embraced the culture. It's very similar, like the climate, the people, and so I feel comfortable here. There was a season where I had to try to like find my way and where I belong to, which is kind of like similar to like when talking about Torah and Christianity. I feel like I'm still in that process of how do I find like my place in like Torah, like Messianic, Christian.
Yeah.
So it's been a great experience. It has its challenges, but I'm very grateful to be part of this, of what you're doing, and I've definitely benefited a lot from your teachings.
Well, if it's any comfort to you, you two are so much younger than Robin and I were when we started this journey. So you definitely have an advantage, and it's the greatest adventure in life to me, learning God through the Torah and drawing closer to Him through the original scriptures and learning how to live this life. It's an amazing journey.
Well,
Now, you met in college here in Puerto Rico, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And one thing led to another, and you got married how long ago?
over 3 years ago.
3 years ago. And we were sitting here in the same spot last night with other friends, and you were sharing your story, and it's very romantic. But I love the part, and people made fun of me last night, but I love the part where you basically officially proposed to Rebekah in Ohio when you were visiting us and friends of ours, the Ramoonies, who have an organic farm there.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about that? Well,
How we get
it's
there?
always best to hear the romantic part from
Yeah.
the lady. Yeah.
Well, okay, so you want me to share the story about the proposal or the story of how we got there?
Why don't we do both?
Okay.
I'll let you just.
Okay, really quickly,
Intertwine
I had a friend at the congregation that he would always share very in-depth like teachings and with Hebrew and all of this, and I was like, I asked him, where did you learn all this? Who's your teacher? Like, how are you getting this information? All of us are kind of lost. And he gave me a couple of links. He gave me D. Thomas Lancaster links, and he gave me your links. And that was like over 7 years ago, probably. Or yeah, I don't even know. But I started listening to both of you and looking, and suddenly like so much knowledge was available and so much depth, and so I was able to learn really fast a lot of things. I would listen to all the topics and look for, I want to learn about this, and I would look in Betsy Kuhn's website, and so in one of the audios you mentioned an organic farm, a family of Joe and Renee.
Yes, Joe and Renee.
That they were
Renee
nearby.
Ramooney, right.
And I was like, whoa, what if I tell them that I can go help at the farm and then just kind of integrate myself into the community and see how they live Torah? Like, I just wanted to see what it looked like in a practical way, in the day-to-day. And see also the liturgy. I was very interested in seeing how that went. And then you answered me right away, and I was so impressed. I was like, wow, so accessible. Like, this teacher that has like so many followers, and he just answered me. And so you connected me with Renee, and she accepted us, and we went to visit. We met you guys there. We met several people from the community, Brian and others. And we made a very strong connection with with you guys and with the Ramones. And there, you want to share the other part of the story?
I can. So while this was happening, at the same time, Rebekah and I, we were dating, and few days before the trip, we went to the beach, and that's kind of, we had a beautiful conversation, and I asked her if she wanted to date me, and
But not only date me, it was like
Yeah.
we're in this together, like to get married and just keep looking for God together. Like it was more than just dating.
let's say if you want to spend the rest of your life with me. And she said yes. But then when we went to the trip to Ohio, and then we were sitting at the Ramones at the table, and then
It was
she
an
asked,
Erev Shabbat,
I
right?
was going to say, it was an Erev Shabbat, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
yes, and then Renee asked about how was the proposal made in Judaism, right?
She asked like if she didn't know, but she just wanted Robin to share what that looked like so Daimer could get a hint.
Yeah, so in a way, I was kind of like put like in the.
They put you in the spot.
Yeah, I was put on the
Yeah.
spot, but I embraced it. I would say so. There was the bottle of wine, and there was the cup, and then they share the tradition is that the groom,
Yeah.
the groom, the man will pour wine in the cup and present it to the woman.
Yes.
And if she drinks from the cup, then that's a way to say yes to the proposal.
Right.
And so we were there, and I was like, okay, I guess that's the cue. And so I did. I poured wine in the cup, and I passed it in front of Rebekah, and she drank from it, and
Everybody was so happy. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a great memory.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the Lord orchestrated all of that. Unless you and Renee.
Right?
No, I didn't have any part in this.
Well, I'd like you to share a little bit about where we're at right now. We're at this farm called Plenitude, and which is Spanish for
Plenitud.
plentiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, plentiful. And it's quite an amazing place. And so can you tell us a little bit about how it's run and what your mission is here and how it impacts Puerto Rico in general, but this community, this area of Las Marias in particular? So just talk to us about Plenitude.
You can start, and I'll
Okay, yes. So plenitude, the word comes from the idea of wholeness.
Wholeness.
So this started with the idea of like helping people in Puerto Rico with our situation of complete dependence, like in food, for example, we import over 85% of the food we eat.
85%.
And there's very much a dependence that we've grown with, and that we
got used
we
to
accept
it.
in our heads that we are not enough in different ways. So plenitude has that idea of not only bringing like support with providing food, growing our own food in the island, but also bringing that idea of like that we have what we need, that we are like sons and daughters of God, and we depend on Him, but at the same time we're complete. That's the word I'm looking for. We're whole.
Yes.
We're not missing anything. So that's the spirit of plenitude. And so the way we practice it or put it out there is with 5 programs. You want to talk about the 5 programs?
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's good to see it as these 2 aspects of the organization. There is, like let's say the business or organization level, but then there is the community level,
Right.
And they both are the same but interact differently. Like, for example, in the organizational level, we have 5 programs, and that is agriculture, bioconstruction,
Okay, agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
bioconstruction.
Now, what is bioconstruction?
Bioconstruction is a technique that use alternative materials. Like, instead of just using cement, we could use dirt, we could use bamboo, we could use
Wood.
resources that are more local,
Okay.
available, which
Mhm.
is part of building that resiliency, that we
Right.
are not just dependent on this type of constructions, that we have more alternative
Yes.
that sometimes are right next to each other, and
Right.
like, you know,
Right.
in the area. And so that's the idea behind bioconstruction, is
Okay.
using the materials.
And more harmonious with the
Yeah.
nature, not destroying
Using
it.
the
But
things that are at hand.
yeah.
I wish people right now could see the house that Robin and I are staying in, which is so unique and beautiful, but it's made out of basically sand,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some wood and metal, but it's made out of local materials, and it's pretty amazing. And hopefully, if everything works well, there will be some pictures showing as people
Mhm.
listen to this conversation.
Yeah.
So you've got agriculture, bioconstruction, and
Then
what
the
is
third one is rainwater harvesting.
rainwater harvesting.
That is, yeah, more focused. And here, especially in Las Marias, there's one of the towns that when it's rainy season, it's, you know, like every day it's
Every day.
gonna be pouring. And then a lot of, even in that environment, we have people that
Lacking water.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and it's like, how is this possible? Like,
Right.
in the, you know, in such an area where there's so much water, that people are lacking
Yes.
water. And so it's this program is focused on providing the resources and the materials and the education on how people can have access to water, or water security, and especially because we live in a place where it's prone to hurricanes and other natural disasters, that having that independence in the water is key to survival in
Okay.
our place.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so, and what is number 4?
So those are the 3 technical programs
Yes.
or sustainability programs.
Mhm.
And then the 2 others are youth and children and youth,
Mhm.
and amo mis abus, which means I love my elderly.
Yes.
Basically, the children's program, we have a team that visits the schools every week, or the children come to the farm, and they just get exposed to growing their own food. They have a school garden.
That's wonderful.
They also get workshops on like healthy eating, and also just community building, because many of these children tend to have like unhealthy family relationships
Yes.
or difficulties. So this is like a safe space for them to heal.
Yes.
And then with the elderly, something that is growing and growing in Puerto Rico is that there's more and more elderly and less young people. So many of them, the elderly, are being abandoned, especially in rural zones. They're forgotten, and the youth leave Puerto Rico looking for opportunities
Mm.
due to the economic crisis, and also mental and emotional crisis, because how can you forget your parents and your elderly,
Yes.
right?
Right.
But so Plenitude has adopted several elderly in the community that have been abandoned, and it's an exchange, because they have so much wisdom to share.
Yes.
So we gain so much from them. It's not that we're giving them, it's a giving and receiving situation, so it's a blessing.
Mhm.
And so all these programs are kind of connected, because maybe the technical program, the water security, will go and install systems for the elderly
I see.
with the children. The children will come and do it, so they'll learn how to do it. Or the agriculture team,
Mhm.
we grow the food, and then that food goes to the children's program and the elderly's weekly. They do 2 meals a week that they send to the elderly.
Wonderful.
That comes from the farm.
Now, you had shared with us before that long ago, farming was all over Puerto Rico. But with the more importing of food and the reassignment of land for other purposes, farming's kind of died out here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And with that, so much of the healthy food that used to be grown here, people are eating processed foods and genetically modified foods. So part of your goal then is to also restore farming to Puerto Rico.
Right.
And share some of those statistics you shared with Robin and me yesterday about how much food you can grow in a small space.
Yeah. So we've learned from our ancestors and elderly that they would grow this and that, and it was always small pockets of land because nobody local had big land. Only people that came and bought land and then took farmers away. They had hundreds and hundreds of acres, but that wasn't normal. Meanwhile, there was enough food for everybody, and nobody understands why. But so we started growing a 1/4 of an acre here on the farm, and we didn't know what to expect. We were recording every harvest day what was going in, what was going out. And we found out that in 1/4 of an acre, you could grow over 8,000 pounds in 8 months.
So in 8 months, you could grow 8,000 pounds of food on 1/4 of an acre.
1/4 of an acre. Less than 1/4 of an acre.
Less than 1/4 of an acre.
For being more precise. And that amount would feed about 60 people a week, like a decent amount of food per week.
Yeah.
So we kept thinking about this. We were like, wait a minute. If we grow food in 20 acres, we could feed probably the whole population of Puerto Rico.
Amazing.
And this was shocking because we've always been told it's not possible, and this is tools that the government has used, and it's not cost effective for them.
Yes.
So it's something that we're learning ourselves and helping others find their way to be able to do it. And many times when there's been hurricanes and disasters, people go to the supermarket and it's a state of emergency, so everybody buys everything, and one day everything is empty. So then there's food scarcity, and that's insane in such a plentiful country.
It's amazing.
So we have a lot of climate conditions that help us grow food year-round.
Yes.
And we're not taking advantage of that, and also of the space. One thing that we have learned is, we can maximize the space and the resources so that we can do that. And then in general, the idea of the food system where we live is fragile because we are an island, and so if both don't come with food, then we're lacking food, and in just 1 week we can just run out of food, and so a big focus is teaching people and demonstrating people how we're doing it, so that people can see what we do here and replicate it in other parts of Puerto
and we
Rico.
didn't come up with it. This is something that the elders taught us, and that even in countries around us, in Cuba with similar climates, they learned how to grow food in small spaces just using compost. So we kind of dug information from different people that were already doing it and started practicing it. And it's definitely possible, and we give a course every year where we teach about 25 students how to do it, and we have an incubator where farmers can learn with us, and we kind of can give them consulting while they're growing. And we ended up writing a book too as a community of how to do it, because many people, our grandparents were farmers, then our parents were in pharmaceutical and manufacturing, because all those businesses came and farmers were displaced to this. So there's a gap. There's a generational gap between who knew farming, then nobody knows farming, and now the youth are relearning how to farm. So
that's wonderful.
So that's why we like to share all these educational resources to people because they don't know how to do it anymore.
Robin, you have a question.
Well, it's more of an observation I want to share because since we've been here, just watching the way the Plenitude staff, if you will, work together in such a harmonious way, you don't see competition. You don't see a person trying to meet their own agenda. There's such an attitude of service. And I see so much humility and love happening among the workers here that it's awe-inspiring, isn't it, Grant?
It is.
And I want to mention that when you come here, you realize that with each person who's committed to this place, there's a God awareness. And they recognize that everything comes from our Creator into our hands, not for us to hoard, but to build up and make the most of and share with the world around us. And I believe that is the key to why this place is working so well. And it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a wonderful observation. And as you were speaking, Rebekah, Rob and I often think very much alike, and I was thinking the same thing because you've got people here, not just from Puerto Rico, but I've met people over the last 2 days from Colorado, Florida, Massachusetts, Washington. What are some of the other places? They're from all over. You have some who stay for a short time to work and to learn. Others live here more or less permanently. You've got a camp area with tents for people who come. Some live off of the farm, but they come in each day to work. And it's really amazing. It's a place on the one hand it's very busy, but on the other hand it's always calm. I never see people running. People are just at rest. There are hammocks slung up everywhere, and Rob and I really enjoy those. But going back to the food, I want people to have a picture here. You're on the side of a mountain. This isn't a flat field. The Las Marias River is down over the cliff, the hill here, and I can hear it in the background. And you pump water from that to water your crops, but you've gone past just a quarter acre. How many acres are you actually farming right now that are producing? And I know you've got other fields you're preparing to begin to sow crops in.
You had to create terraces.
You had to create
we
terraces,
have to do
yeah.
terraces. Well, you know what? Right now we're a little over the 1/4 of an acre. We're not that far off yet.
Okay.
With the new terraces you saw,
Yes.
now we're gonna add maybe like we'll get over
one half
or more.
Can you list most of the crops that you're doing right now? I saw so many I can't remember them.
Yeah.
I can start.
Yeah, go
Yes.
for it.
So in with veggies we have tomatoes, lettuce, cilantro, kale, collar. We also do green beans, and then
radishes, squash,
Oh, we have beets. We have beautiful
beets.
beets.
Yes.
Eggplants,
green onions, celery, parsley, basil.
Oh yeah, all these different herbs too. Then you've got fruit trees. We saw passion fruit, breadfruit, jackfruit, mangoes,
Yes.
coconuts
Coconut.
everywhere.
Yeah. Star
Bananas.
fruit. Oh, we haven't showed you star fruit yet.
You have to show us the star fruit.
Yes, star fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this place is like Garden of Eden. It's just bursting with food coming out of the ground. So now, people, if they who are listening who want to learn more about Plenitude, you have your own website, correct? So we'll put a link to that down at the bottom so people can go there. Anything else that you would recommend people do if they want to learn more?
Yeah. Well, definitely the website is the main place. We also have Facebook and Instagram, and they're all the same. Plenitude
Facebook and Instagram.
PR.
Okay.
The website is plenitudepr.org. Yeah.
And email.
Email.
You can subscribe by email, and
Okay.
then you get our newsletters every week, I believe, and just stay in touch with the community. And yeah, we always try to be in touch with people, especially because we strongly believe in the community and how even people around the world can join in the same service. And
It's wonderful.
and one of the ways that we have developed after the pandemic, there's this programs called Plenitude Sustainers, and it's people that commit to a contribution monthly or every year, and then they get to experience a more like
Close relationship.
close
with
relationship. Yeah,
Plenitude and-
we try to like cultivate that community.
Right,
through-
because many people have the desire to be involved in this kind of projects, but maybe at this point in time they can't be. They have other responsibilities, or
Right.
but they join in this way, and sometimes we'll do video calls with them, or we'll give them a virtual tour.
Yeah.
We'll send them gifts from the farm. Just kind of let them know that they are a part of
Yes,
it, and
that's wonderful.
they can live it somehow.
Well, is there anything we've missed? Any important issue you want to share or information before we close out this episode?
I had one thing that
I have one too.
You did?
Okay.
Okay, yours is probably more important.
No, I mean, just this is a good conversation because it allows us to like zoom back and like
Yeah.
you know see everything how it interacts, and one thing that I've learned here is there is a big focus in relationship
Yes.
and how that affects everything. So if you go to like the human level, how our relationships are really
Yeah.
important, and how we grow and how we develop, but also we see it in farming, the relationship that the soil microorganisms have with the plants and the fungus. So we're a big part of what Plenitude has focused is the service through
Yes.
those relationships.
Yes.
So it has been able to spread as the fungus like spreads in the soil, and so we're also like spreading those relationships, and
Yes.
I think that's very important
Yes.
to know and highlight.
Well, I know Robin and I can attest to that. The moment we stepped foot onto the farm, the people who we've never met before, you could feel the love from them, the love they have for one another, and we just instantly love them back. Because there just doesn't seem to be any ego, competitiveness, one-upmanship. There's none of that here.
No one's trying to get rich from this.
No one's trying to get rich. Everybody's here to give and to serve. And it really is a unique and beautiful thing to see. It really
It
is.
is. Yeah.
Rebekah, you had
I
something
guess
to share.
we're all connected.
That
I was
what you were
I
going
was
to share.
basically thinking like, wow, we didn't mention the 3 pillars, which is service, sustainability, and community. We talked a lot about sustainability, but service is what has kept us together, because and that community attitude and humility towards others, like tolerating and finding the unity and diversity. We're all so
Yeah.
different. We have many of us have different belief systems, but we connect in that search
Yeah.
for God.
Yes, but there's
And-
no condemnation,
Right.
or I haven't heard any arguments.
No.
People here, they know I come from a Christian, specifically a Torah background, and they just want to hear. They just want to
Yeah,
learn.
they just
Yeah.
want to learn.
It's amazing.
And even ways of working, like we tolerate each other's differences, and it's something that we learned to do here because they modeled it for us, and it's a very special place because you learn how to live in harmony and in community, and that's really what keeps this Plenitude growing and flourishing, because there's a healthy foundation.
Well, from where I'm sitting right now, I can see at least a dozen different kinds of plants and trees. And they're all living together in harmony. But this is a place where people live the same way. And it can happen. It can really
It can
happen.
happen.
I'm watching it happen here every day. So, Robin, is there anything? We good? All right. So, Plenitude, I have to make sure everyone knows how to spell that. It's Plenitude. There is no E on the end. We English speakers want to put an E on everything, but there's no E on Plenitude. So, but check the link at the bottom, and hope you enjoyed the pictures. If you're listening to this on a podcast, please go to our website or to the YouTube channel, so that way you'll be able to see the photographs. that, if all goes well, will accompany this interview with Daimer and Rebekah. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing with us on Tour Today Ministries. Love you, and we look forward next time you come to Ohio to visit us.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay, just don't come in winter.
Thank
All right,
you.
well, God bless everyone. Wish you shalom, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us for today's teaching. If the work of Torah Today Ministries has touched your life, please consider making a donation or sponsoring an upcoming video. As a video sponsor, you'll have an exclusive opportunity to memorialize a family member, celebrate a special event, or simply support the ongoing creation of similar content. Your tax-deductible contribution helps ensure that our teachings continue to reach all who are longing for truth. Click the link or visit our website to learn more.